When a narcissist is suddenly nice, the brutal trap you never saw coming. You've been living in a war zone, bracing for the next explosion, when suddenly the air goes dead silent. The yelling stops. The cold shoulder warms up, and the person who made your life a living nightmare is now offering you coffee, a smile, and a level of tenderness you thought had died months ago. It feels like a miracle, doesn't it? But you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Maybe you think they've finally changed. That the version of them you fell in love with has returned from the grave. You want to believe it so badly that you ignore the tiny, frantic alarm bell ringing in the back of your mind. It's quiet, too quiet. You feel like a survivor walking through a minefield that just went suspiciously still. Why does this kindness feel more dangerous than rage? We've all been there, trapped in that paralyzing moment where the monster suddenly puts on a human mask. It's the ultimate psychological bait-and-switch, designed to make you question your own sanity and rewrite the history of your trauma. You're starting to wonder if you were the one who overreacted all along. That is exactly where they want you. Right back in their velvet-lined cage. Think about the timing. Why now? Why after you were ready to leave, or after you stood your ground? There is a rhythm to this madness that you are only just beginning to hear. They don't change because they've had an epiphany. They change because they need something from you, and they've realized that the hammer is no longer working. They need the silk glove to keep you compliant. It's a survival tactic for them, but a death sentence for your boundaries. When a narcissist is suddenly nice, it's rarely an act of grace. It is a strategic pivot. They are recalibrating their approach because they've hit a wall. They know that if they don't reel you back in with a heavy dose of sweetness, they will lose their grip on the one thing they crave most, your attention. Imagine a fisherman throwing a shiny lure into the water. The fish sees the sparkle, forgets the hunger, and swims right toward the hook. You are that fish. The kindness you're receiving is the sparkle. It's beautiful, it's bright, and it's completely hollow. But when you're starving for affection, a plastic lure looks exactly like the real thing. It's hard to blame you for biting. You're asking yourself if you're just being cynical. Maybe you're afraid to be happy. That's the voice of your trauma talking, telling you that your intuition is just paranoia. But let's look at the facts. How many times has this cycle played out? How many new chapters have you started, only to end up in the exact same cold, lonely place? The pattern is the truth, not the temporary peace. We're going to peel back the layers of this sudden kindness. We aren't just talking about manipulation, we're talking about a calculated psychological operation. This is the stage of the cycle they don't teach you about in basic psychology, the one where they pretend to be the hero of the story just as you were about to walk out the door. Don't look away now. We're going inside. You've spent so much time trying to be the good person, the one who forgives, the one who tries one more time. That nobility is exactly what they've been harvesting. But today, we stop the cycle. We look at this niceness for what it truly is, a tactical retreat designed to regroup and strike again. You aren't being ungrateful, you're being intelligent. Stay with me for this. By the time we finish, you won't see their smiles the same way again. You'll stop feeling guilty for keeping your guard up. This is the moment you stop being the victim of their fluctuating moods and start being the master of your own reality. Let's dismantle this trap, piece by piece, so you can see the wires running underneath. It's time to see what's really behind the curtain. Why do they do it? It's not complex, even if it feels confusing. A narcissist views people as objects, like tools in a shed. If the hammer isn't working, you don't throw it away, you clean it, polish it, and put it back on the shelf so you can use it later. Their kindness is that polish. It's a way to reassert control when they feel their influence over your mind is starting to slip. Think of their internal world as a bottomless pit of insecurity. They need a steady supply of external validation to feel alive. When you pull away, or when you set a boundary, that supply is cut off. The nice behavior is a desperate attempt to plug the leak. They are performing the role of the perfect partner because they are terrified of being alone with their own empty, fractured self. It's a form of intermittent reinforcement. You've probably heard that term, but let's make it real. It's like a slot machine. If you won every time you pulled the handle, you'd eventually get bored. But if you win just enough to stay hooked, you'll keep pulling until you're broke. The nice episodes are the small wins that keep you tethered to the machine, hoping for the jackpot of true love. They are also incredibly observant. They know exactly which emotional buttons to push. When they become nice, they are mirroring your deepest desires. They are giving you exactly what you've been begging for, but they are doing it with an agenda. It's like a counterfeit bill. It looks perfect to the naked eye, but it doesn't hold any real value because there's nothing backing it up. Their logic is binary. You are either with them or against them. When you stand up for yourself, you are against them, and they respond with hostility. When they see you distancing yourself, they pivot to nice to neutralize the threat you pose to their image. It's not about your needs, it's about their survival. They are essentially managing your emotions to keep their own house in order. Have you ever felt like you're walking on eggshells even when they're being kind? That's your nervous system recognizing the threat. Your body is smarter than your heart. It knows that this shift is unnatural. It senses the lack of sincerity. You're feeling the dissonance between what they're saying and the coldness in their eyes. Trust that physiological response. It's your survival instinct. Let's talk about the future faking that often comes with this kindness. They'll start talking about plans, trips, or changes, painting a beautiful picture of what your life could be. It's a bait. They're buying time. By giving you a vision of a better future, they make you believe that the pain of the past was just a rough patch. They are selling you a dream to keep you from waking up. There is a deep, predatory nature to this. They watch your face carefully when they're being nice. They are gauging how much you've softened. They are looking for that moment when your eyes go soft and you finally drop your defenses. Once you do, they've won the round. They can move back into the devaluing phase with even more ammunition, because now they know exactly how to reach you. Why does it feel so exhausting to be around them during these nice phases? Because you are constantly performing an internal calculation. You are asking, is this real? Is this the end of the abuse? That constant analysis drains your soul. You are essentially doing their emotional labor for them, trying to make the relationship work because you're terrified of what happens if you stop trying. You aren't dealing with a person who has complicated emotions. You're dealing with a system. A system that has only one goal, to keep you connected. Understanding this doesn't make it hurt less, but it does make it less personal. You aren't the problem. Your love isn't the problem. Their inability to sustain a real human connection is the only thing driving this entire, hollow cycle. It usually happens when you finally had enough. Maybe you didn't answer their texts, or you stood your ground in an argument. You felt that cold, iron resolve setting in. And suddenly, the storm breaks. They call, they apologize, or they show up at your door with your favorite coffee. They aren't just nice, they're vulnerable. They start talking about their own pain. The trap has been set. You see them crying, perhaps for the first time in months. You're drawn in. It's the humanizing moment you've been praying for. You think, finally, they're showing me who they really are. But look closer. Is the pain aimed at you, or are they using their pain to make you feel guilty for leaving? The power dynamic hasn't changed, it has just moved from aggression to manipulation. This is the turning point. This is where you either step into the trap or you walk away. If you fall for it, you'll find yourself comforting them. You'll be the one apologizing for having boundaries. You'll be the one trying to fix their life, forgetting that they were the one who ruined yours. The roles reverse in an instant, and suddenly you are the caretaker again. It's a masterstroke. You start to feel hopeful. Maybe you talk about the future again, or even start making plans. You feel that rush of adrenaline that comes with of reconciliation. But there is a weird, metallic taste in the air. It's the feeling of selling a piece of your soul for a moment of peace. You know, deep down, that you are trading your long-term safety for a few hours of artificial comfort. The narcissist senses the shift. They see you leaning in, trusting them, letting your guard down. You can see their posture change, too. The desperation leaves their eyes. They become more confident, more relaxed. They have secured their supply. They don't need to be nice for much longer. They have successfully reset the game. You are back in the loop, and they are in control. Why do we keep falling for it? Because the alternative is grieving the loss of the relationship. It's the pain of admitting that the person you love does not exist. It is easier to believe in the fake kindness than to accept the reality of the void. That's not a weakness. That's human nature. But you have to be stronger than your hope. Your hope is being used against you. Watch their face when you finally accept the apology. They won't be humble. They'll be triumphant. It's a subtle flash of satisfaction, a tiny smile that lasts for a fraction of a second. They didn't learn from their mistakes, they learned how to manage you. They've discovered that you have a reset button, and they've just learned how to press it perfectly every single time. The shift is so sudden that it gives you whiplash. 1 minute they are the victim, the next they are the provider. It's like a movie script that changes genres in the middle of a scene. You go from a thriller to a romance, and you're so desperate for the romance that you forget you're still in a thriller. The pacing is designed to keep you disoriented so you can't think clearly. This is the moment where you lose your leverage. By accepting the kindness without demanding accountability, you are telling them that their past behavior was acceptable. You are giving them permission to continue. You aren't healing the relationship, you are giving it the fuel it needs to keep burning. The power has shifted back to them, and they are already planning the next phase. It feels like a relief, but it's actually a surrender. You feel lighter, you feel seen, and you feel loved. But it's an illusion built on sand. As soon as you stop fighting for your boundaries, the walls start closing in again. You haven't solved the problem, you've just delayed the inevitable explosion. And this time, they know exactly how to disarm you when they need to. So, what happens once you're back in? The nice period doesn't last. It never does. It's like a fuse that burns down to the wick. They've gotten what they needed, you are hooked again, your boundaries are down, and you've forgotten the warnings. The next phase begins, and it's always worse than the last one. The transition is brutal, and it happens when you least expect it. The kindness starts to erode. A snide comment here, a cold look there. You find yourself back on your toes, trying to figure out what you did wrong. The irony is that you didn't do anything wrong. You just served your purpose as a reset button. Now that you're back in the fold, they don't need to perform anymore. The mask is being put back in the drawer for later. You start to feel a deep, crushing sense of betrayal. You gave them a second chance, you opened your heart, and they burned it again. The pain this time is different. It's not just the trauma of the abuse, it's the humiliation of knowing you let it happen. You feel foolish. You feel weak. But that shame is what they want. They need you to feel small so they can feel big. Your friends and family are exhausted. They watched you go through this, and they're frustrated that you're back at square one. You feel isolated, like you're the only one who doesn't get it. This isolation is the narcissist's greatest weapon. They have successfully cut you off from the people who keep you grounded in reality. You are alone with them again, and they love it. The psychological damage is cumulative. Every time you go through this cycle, you lose a piece of your self-trust. You start to think, maybe I am the crazy one. Maybe they really are trying. You lose your ability to discern truth from fiction. That is the true consequence. It's not just a bad relationship, it's a systematic dismantling of your identity. They are erasing you. You realize that nice phase was actually the most abusive part of the whole thing. It was gaslighting on a massive scale. They lied to your face about who they were, and they did it to manipulate your deepest emotions. It's cold, it's calculating, and it's predatory. When you see it clearly, the anger starts to build. Let it. That anger is your path back to yourself. The consequences reach into every part of your life. Your work suffers, your health declines, and you lose interest in the things that used to bring you joy. You are living for them, and you are dying for them. You become a ghost in your own home, performing tasks and saying lines that you know are just part of the script they wrote for you. It's a slow-motion tragedy. They will use this cycle to define you. They will point to your instability or your overreactions to explain why things are the way they are. They rewrite history in real time, making themselves the victim and you the aggressor. You start to believe it. You start to apologize for their behavior. It's a total loss of reality. You are drowning, and they are holding your head underwater. It feels like you're trapped in a room with no doors. Every time you find an exit, they become nice, and you stop looking for the door. You stay in the room, hoping the furniture will change, hoping the walls will move. But the room is the same, and the person inside with you is the one who locked the door. You're waiting for the captor to set you free. It isn't going to happen. The truth is simple, there is no nice version of them. There is only the version that needs you and the version that wants to control you. Both are equally destructive. The sooner you stop looking for the mask, the sooner you can stop being a casualty of their game. The collapse isn't a failure, it's the end of an illusion. It's the moment you finally stop being a participant. You've reached the bottom, and that is a terrifying place to be. But look around. The bottom is also a solid foundation. You can't go any lower, which means the only way left is up. The fog is starting to clear. You're seeing the wires, the mirrors, and the scripts. You're finally standing on ground that isn't shifting under your feet. This is where your life begins again. Breathe. Just breathe. You are not the problem. You are a person with a capacity for empathy, and that is a gift, not a flaw. They preyed on your goodness, not your weakness. There is a profound difference. You are trying to save the relationship because that's what people with hearts do. Don't let them turn your kindness into a weapon against yourself. You have nothing to be ashamed of. It's time to stop trying to be the bigger person. The bigger person is the one who realizes they're in a battle they can't win and steps off the field. You don't owe them an explanation, and you don't owe them a second, third, or 10th chance. You owe yourself a life free from this madness. You owe yourself the grace you've been throwing away on someone who can't hold it. Start by trusting your gut again. That feeling that something is wrong. That's not anxiety. That's your intuition trying to save your life. Listen to it. It's been screaming at you for a long time. When you start honoring that quiet voice, you become untouchable. The manipulation doesn't land anymore because you've stopped looking for their approval. You don't need it. Surround yourself with people who don't need you to be anyone but yourself. Real love isn't a cycle of chaos and calm. It's steady. It's boring, in the best way possible. It doesn't leave you feeling drained, confused, or constantly on trial. If you feel like you're constantly proving yourself, you're not in a partnership, you're in an interrogation. Walk away from the interrogation. You are not a project, and you are not a puzzle to be solved. You are a human being who deserves to be seen, heard, and cherished for who you are, not for how useful you are to someone else. Healing is not about fixing the relationship, it's about fixing your relationship with yourself. It's about learning to love the person who survived the storm, not the one who caused it. The anger you feel, use it. Let it fuel your resolve. Don't let it turn into bitterness, let it turn into boundaries. Let it be the fire that burns away the excuses and the hope that keeps you trapped. You are reclaiming your life, your mind, and your future. Every day that you don't engage is a victory. Every day that you choose your peace over their chaos is a revolution. You have a strength in you that they will never understand. They rely on fear and manipulation, you rely on truth and resilience. That is a power they cannot touch. They can take your time, they can take your energy, but they cannot take your fundamental worth unless you hand it to them. Close your hand. Keep your worth for yourself. You need it more than they ever will. One day, you'll look back on this and it will feel like a dream, a bad, confusing, surreal dream that you woke up from just in time. You'll be living a life that is yours, truly yours, and you'll realize that the niceness was just a shadow. You weren't losing them, you were finding your way back to the only person who actually matters in this story. That person is you. The trap is only real if you decide to stay in it. You have the key in your hand, and the door has been unlocked all along. You spent years looking for a version of them that never existed, but the version of you that survives is real, it's powerful, and it is finally free. The only thing you ever needed to escape was your own belief that you deserved anything less than peace.